So we thought it was the end when the mysterious man took us the last time, but now we woke up in the void again. We then came out of the void and saw the Citadel from the bottom. We were dragged up to the place that we had last been before we were taken away, but now a bunch of Vortigons appeared and made noises while moving their hands. Then Alex was unpaused of time and disappeared. We took this situation fully seriously. Yeah. The mysterious man then came again, but this time he got upset because the Vortigon stopped him from taking us. It all went black and all of a sudden we woke up to Dog removing rocks from above us. It saw us and started to help us get out of there. It picked us up and now Alex saw that we were alive, but I didn't care about Alex. I just wanted to see Snake again since it had been such a long time. Snake wasn't really Snake anymore, and I had turned into Batman. Then Snake saw how he looked. But then we had had enough of the funnies and we came to this naturally formed computer screen with important information on it. It said that 99.6% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed? Oh, I sure hope there's a way to fix that. But then that was replaced with Eli Incliner, because as long as there is a monitor in this world, you are able to call Eli Incliner. We were also very lucky that this naturally forming computer had a microphone so that they could hear Alex responding. Nature is truly beautiful. Alex was speaking to them for a very long time, so to pass time I tried to wait for the bus and then I teased Snake with his bike that he really wanted, but he got hold of it and threw it away.
Oi.
Then it was finally time to move on. I looked down into the abyss down below and we found the bike again. Life is really just great right now. But we didn't want the bike, so we continued on walking and came here where Dog ran behind this pile and threw an exhaust pipe. Ooh, interesting, but then it killed me! It must have gone mad or something, because then it almost threw a car at Alex. It had definitely gone mad because it forced us to get into the car and then it would throw us over the cliff to the Citadel. Alex hugged Dog goodbye and then we started freaking out. We didn't have any seat belts. It then threw us. No, that was just clickbait. Then it actually threw us, but it was actually super fine. Nothing bad happened at all. I mean, it didn't until now.
Inte alls en scripted sequence.
Nej, jag kör.
We made it without a scratch. Even without the seat belts. Now though it was time to walk, but I didn't know where, but Snake told me to hurry up, so I went the most logical way.
Men jag skulle till Batcave.
We walked into this corridor, and when I turned around, Snake had turned into
Boba Fett?
Oh, Boba Fett.
We then came to this large abyss where we had to take energy balls and throw them into these things to make a light bridge. When on the other side, I found myself a pet. Boba Fett also found a pet. I then showed that my pet was better because it could dance, and Boba got so envious that he stole my pet. So I had to take a new one, and this one could also dance. I would never let this one go. Oh no! Well, who cares? We now had to fight some Combine and walk through the Citadel some more until we came to this glass elevator. But I didn't think we were supposed to be on it, so I tried to jump over, but yeah, it didn't really work. But while I was falling, Boba Fett and Alex started going down the elevator, which somehow made it so that I always spawned in the air below the elevator. So while they were trying to protect themselves from things falling from the sky, I was busy falling from the sky. But then finally I got on, but then we had to leave because way too big things were coming from the sky. Now we were here.
Hey Batman.
Hello, Boba Fett.
Now we had to fight.
Batman, there are enemies up ahead. Do not kill them.
Crap.
Batman does not kill people.
Oh, but I am Zack Snyder's Batman who kills everyone.
We then came to this ball, which I don't really know what we did with. We used energy balls to make these things shoot lasers at it, and we thought we had done something wrong, but then Alex said you did it, so apparently we protected the ball because it was going to make the entire thing collapse with us inside it. So now it was still going to collapse, but we had more time to get away from here. So why did Alex even want to go in here at all? We were literally outside the Citadel just a few minutes ago. Well. We then found this big monitor, which of course meant that we had to talk to someone. This time it was Mossman. She was speaking of some secret project, but I already knew what it was.
I know what they're speaking of.
Oh, me too.
The Millennium Falcon!
Millennium Falcon, whoa!
Eller menar Batmobil.
Nej, Millennium Falcon.
Then the Combine came and interrupted her, so we didn't want to talk to her anymore. Now our goal was to get as far away from the Citadel as possible, because otherwise it would blow up with us inside it and that wouldn't be very nice. So we went down this calm and normal elevator. We fought some combine and came to these balls that had caused us a lot of pain in the last video. But now Alex turned them yellow, which meant that they were on our side for some reason. So they were fighting for us, but they weren't very effective. But luckily I had a boat up my sleeve, and that was very effective. It even allowed me to do this sick parkour trick. Then we got into a train where Alex showed us stalkers, which are people who had been modified because they resisted the combine. We wanted to go to the other end of the train, but someone had put a boat in the way, so instead of passing it, I just sat in it, and then the train crashed. When I woke up, no one was left, but as soon as I got out of the boat, I saw Alex and Boba. A stalker had fallen on Alex, so we helped her out, but now she was scared. So me and Boba Fett went ahead and got onto another boat, and yeah, something happened. Now it was time to fight some zombies. Then it was time to be a bit sus, crawling through a vent. We came to this dark room where we found a shotgun and the piss bottle. Finally, we were reunited with it. I took it with me and we made it here where there was a zombie combine, or maybe a...
Combine zombie? That's like a zombine, right?
So fun. After that hilarious joke, we were barely able to walk, but we had to, because otherwise we would die from the Citadel blowing up. So we walked, but we found even more zombine, but also normal zombies. Since I held the bottle, I couldn't help with the fighting, but it didn't go as well as I had hoped. So I read it and came to this room where I found 2 other bottles. This could only mean one thing. It was the piss bottle's family, so we had to leave it here. We found this bottle just as we had come here. We had taken it with us through thick and thin, and all of it just to return it to its family. Yeah, we had lost it a couple of times, but that doesn't matter. What matters is the journey. So now we had to say our goodbyes.
Together they make an N for family.
H for H2O.
Or
Why?
for why are you leaving us? Z for zebra.
We were sad to leave, but then I found this.
Oh nej.
So antlions now came out of the ground to kill us, but the simple way to fix this was just to cover the hole with a car. So now we had to kill a bunch of antlions while also covering their holes with cars. We did that and came to this super dark place with a bunch of zombies. Then Boba wanted to show me something.
Oh, ray tracing. Oh.
Unfortunately, there was no ray tracing, but there was an elevator and we were going to go up it, but of course it broke. So we had to wait for it to get down while fighting a bunch of zombies. While fighting, I realized that I was able to steal a grenade from the zombine's hand and throw it back at them, which was very nice. Then the elevator was finally here! We teased the zombies because they were not allowed to go on this elevator. Where it led was the surface, and here we saw a massive screen of Kleiner talking about something. Then there were more combine again. Yippee! I tried to kill him with a trash can, but it didn't work, so Boba Fett did all the work for me, but I spotted and actually did something. What I did do though was find out that this ladder was a bit weird. Yeah, I know, I'm a hero, I don't know what to say. But then it was zombie killing time until we came to this vent that I just fell down. Now I was stuck in between all of these explosives and we had to get over them. Boba wanted us to take it slow, and so I did. Hey, it worked! So now I almost drowned. Here there were more explosives and Boba just walked straight into them, but we survived. I was caught by a barnacle, but I shot it down. Then I walked into the explosives as well, but I thought we would probably be fine. So now I had to redo it, and this time we would take it slow, but the vent touched the lasers. Now I took it carefully. But I touched it, so I ran away, but I survived! But Boba Fett didn't. So we were back here, and since Boba had a bottle, I wanted to try something. Why did I do that? Then we actually made it so we could continue again. While walking, we actually found Barney from Black Mesa. Him and Alex catch up, but the more important thing is that he gave us back the crowbar. So now it was fighting time. After the epic fight, we made it to Texas. Here Barney had a bunch of people that he wanted to save, so we had to get them to follow us to some train, but they just wouldn't do that. We tried everything, but nothing worked. But then all of a sudden they just came to where they were supposed to. And we had no idea how though. But that didn't matter. But then the Combine came and tried to kill everyone, but luckily for us, I had my godly aim to protect us. After killing the Combine, Barney and the others left without us, so we had to find another train. But there was a Strider here that we had to stay away from. So we had to run through the different containers to get all the way over to the other train. Then we were able to start focusing on shooting the Strider. We were able to kill it, and when that was done, we got on the back of the train that would take us to a safe distance from the Citadel. The Citadel was going absolutely crazy and we saw tons of ships leave. Then it turned blue and it swallowed us in its light. So that was the end of the very appropriately named third installment of Half-Life. Half-Life 2 Episode 1. Or S-Ni. But the story does not end here. There's of course an episode 2. So we wake up and we're now somehow inside the train. The train is also broken and we have to walk through it.
Hey, my ray tracing.
Yo, ray tracing.
So this is very clearly ray tracing, since the water is reflecting the world outside of the train and not the train itself. Okay, enough of that. Somehow Alex is outside the train, and she also called us Gordon.
Ja.
But still, none of us is Gordon. When would you understand? Well, anyway, she picked up her gravity gun that seemed super heavy. She then ripped off the door and then threw it at me, and it did damage. I was super surprised and wanted to see if it worked if I did it. I guess it does. From here, we could see the Citadel, or what was left of it. The portal was still being powered somehow, and while we were watching, a portal storm happened, which made the bridge behind us fall apart even more than it had. When we were watching this, I realized that we had survived a train derailing of a bridge while we were standing outside in the back. So I questioned it, but then Boba Fett told me how we survived.
Vi är HV-suit, det är därför.
Just det.
Vi är stora starka, du är Batman.
Ja, just det.
True. We now came to some old abandoned mines. We had to go through this hole and I thought that it would be good to bring this bench and Boba thought it would be good to bring this
Vi tar med
minecart.
oss 5 metall liksom. 5 ingots. Så det är värt det.
Det är fett värt.
Jag tar med till cobblestone. Han tar cobblestone också, vi måste bygga. Jag vet inte, det finns lite woodblocks.
Jag som är cobblestone.
Ja, vi måste bygga nu en bas.
Ja, men TNT är bra att ha.
Jo, har du redstone? Jag behöver bara en flint och stil egentligen dock.
Ja.
Ja, så är det. Så är det.
Nice.
So now we had made it to this little tiny house and in here there is a monitor, so that could only mean one thing, and that is that we're going to contact Eli and Kleiner. But we found a gnome and we had to take a selfie. So Kleiner and Eli were telling us that the blue streak coming out of the Citadel was the creation of a new, much bigger portal. So they told us that we had to get to their new base somewhere in the forest, but right now we were way too busy throwing chairs. But then we weren't busy anymore, so we walked and we came to Waxta Nogeb. This wasn't their base, but I didn't really know where to go, so I found this hole in the ground and I hopped in. I then saw Alex and this happened. A creature I hadn't seen before just came out of nowhere and killed Alex. And then a Vortigon came and said that he was pleased that at least we weren't dead. Then the Vortigon started making sounds and I didn't understand, so Boba Fett told me what was happening in gamer terms.
Discord VLC.
Oh.
We then had to follow the Vortigon through the mines and then these weird rooms with these larvae that healed me when I walked on them. Apparently these are the things that are inside the healing things. Here we also found a new sort of antlion that was green and these things spit on me, which wasn't very nice. After killing a bunch of new and old antlions, we came to this place where we saw the antlions now look like people, so we tried to kill it, but as it turns out that was just an actual person. I then realized something.
Wave secret.
So since I realized that, I started placing a couple of bombs everywhere. Then this dude came and asked us,
You weren't followed, were you?
Yeah, it was.
so there were these lights on every corridor that lit up if there were antlions coming, and the more antlions coming, the more lights turned on. So we just had to look at the lights and see which corridor we had to focus on. This fight went on for quite a while. There seemed to be no stop on how many antlions could come here. We were quickly shooting through all of our ammunition, so I tried using bombs, but they weren't as effective. Then came an antlion guard, and it was very hard to kill with only normal weapons, but I was luckily able to get it killed. After the fighting, we remembered that Alex was dead, but the Vortigons told us that Alex could survive, but we had to go find something in the mines that they would use to save her. So we followed one of the Vortigons that took us deeper into the mines. These were also filled with more antlions' nests, but we got out of the nests and came to the normal mines, but I don't know if they were much better. Here there were zombies, but there were also carts, and I just had to go on the carts, even though they led out into nothingness. There were even carts with zombies in them. We then came to this cart that led us into a pool of water.
Garfield card.
So we had to climb this very long ladder. We continued to follow the Vortigon and eventually came to this blue hive-looking thing. He touched the hive and it started to glow blue. Then one single spore glowed and out of it he got a tiny little blue ball. This was apparently what was going to save Alex. So we went up one elevator and came up right where she was, and Boba Fett was already here somehow. And now the Vortigons started their ritual where they turned purple and showed the insides of Alex. But just as all of this was happening, the mysterious man popped up. He told us that he had saved Alex as a child when the Combine came because she might become more interesting as she grew up. He told us that now we had to get her to the White Forest, which is the base where Kleiner and Eli were. He was then going to say something very important, but this happened.
Vad i hela världen?
Well, what happened was that he told Alex that when she comes to the White Forest, she has to tell Eli, prepare for unforeseen consequences. Then he disappeared and Alex woke up. But then instead of letting her rest, we immediately went on our way. We left the mines and saw that the Combine was traveling in large packs on the road up ahead. Luckily for us though, we had to go the other way. Here there was one of those stompers that kept antlines away, but we didn't really understand why until 2 antline guards came out of the mines. I shot some explosive barrels at one of them and it went... well, we barely had any ammunition left and we barely had any weapons, but we had to kill both of them to get further. I tried to save ammo by using the gravity gun and throwing random things I found around the environment. They were tough, but after a while we killed them both. Now we had to go up another elevator which led us to this place. Here Alex and the Vortigon told us that we had to go and get a car that was on the bridge that they really wanted. So we had to go through the zombie-infested buildings, but that wasn't really a problem, and in a very short amount of time we came to the car. Now we only had to drive it across the bridge. So a portal storm hit, which made the bridge fall apart. So now we had to find a solution on how to get the car across the bridge, so I walked over to the gap, but then the bridge broke even more. In frustration, we both started throwing off the cars off the bridge. We didn't actually realize that doing this would actually make the bridge tilt over, allowing us to drive the car to Alex. No, I mean, of course I knew what I was doing. We drove the car over and then I tried to push it off again, but it didn't really want to fall down. We went to tell Alex and the Vortigon that we were done, so they came back and checked it out. Boba removed the boat by using the force or something because it started floating. Well, now it was time to drive again, and since there was only one seat, Boba Fett had to stay on the front of the car. But as soon as we got out of the tunnel, I found a much cooler car that I wanted to drive instead. So now we were both driving through the nice looking forest. We came to these houses where we had to go inside of this one. Here there were some cables that weren't really connected, so I tried to help.
Fett man.
I did it again and now there was power going through. So we were going to exit, but as we came up we saw another one of those creatures that killed Alex. Alex told us to hide from it and then she hid very well. We then had to fight it and we thought that it was going to be a very long fight. But it wasn't. The creatures that were apparently called hunters were not that hard to kill, so I decided to try and kill it with my crowbar and it almost worked. We then found another monitor, so of course we had to call someone. But this time it was some guy called Magnuson who answered, but he didn't really say much because he couldn't hear us. So we ended the call and opened the gate and now it was time to drive away. But we kind of forgot how to use a car. But then we remembered that you have to make a car go forwards, and by pushing it like this it went forwards, so this must be how it's supposed to be. We eventually got tired and stopped for a bit, and just as we did, our eyes started glitching or something. Then it happened again. And since this hadn't happened any time before, we thought that it probably had something to do with the house that we were right next to, so we tried to find a way inside it. We got inside and saw this metal thing that Alex called an advisor. She told us to take out the power to kill it, so we did, but then something weird happened. Something lifted us and pulled us towards the big metal thing. It opened and inside it was a creature. It then pushed us all against the wall. It picked up the dead rebel from the ground and poked a hole through its neck. Then it pulled me over and tried to do the same thing to me, but then the metal thing it was inside just exploded out of nowhere, so it dropped me. Then it started flying and made a bunch of wood fly around it, but then it just flew out of the roof and away from us. We went over to Alex, who called us Gordon. She still does not understand that neither of us is someone called Gordon. But we didn't have time to argue because the Combine noticed that one of their advisors flew away, so they came to attack us. Luckily for us, it was really easy since I had this car. We continued fighting until a helicopter came and we didn't have anything to fight it with, so we started driving away. But since we had driven a lot before, we were experts at avoiding the helicopter's attempt at killing us. So we raced the helicopter through a few different environments and then we ended up here, in another resistance base. Now there was no more road, so we had no other choice but to try and fight it. So we came up with the idea to take its own bombs and throw it back at it. And this worked out well. So they allowed us into the base and they told us that they would fix something with our car if we took this thing out. So we got our car back and went on the road again. We drove peacefully, but we were stopped by these blue barriers that appeared out of nowhere. The Combine had caught us, so we had to fight them. After killing most of them, we had to find the source that were powering the force field, so we went up the road and came to these houses where there were even more Combine that we had to kill. Here was also the power source that we had to break, so we did. Now we were able to drive again. But then I saw something incredibly cool.
Oh, dear.
Time to continue.
Yeah!
So we started pushing the car again and we came to this obstacle. We jumped over it and on the other side was this massive monster. No, it was just a strider. A strider? It was going to shoot us, but out of nowhere came Dog to the rescue. He tore the strider apart. So there was a gnome inside the Strider, and that just makes so much sense. We walked around with it for a bit, but then Doug got rid of the obstacles, so we were able to use the car again. Doug also got rid of the giant creature. So we pushed the car up a big hill and we came to the White Forest Station, the lab that we had been trying to get to. So we walked inside it and immediately found something extremely interesting.
Gnome friend?
Gnome friend?
So we made them stand beside each other and we took another selfie. We took the gnomes further down into the base and we saw this rocket and we placed them inside it. It was now that we realized that the entire gang was here. Eli, Kleiner, and this new dude Magnuson. Some warning lights started flashing, so Magnuson told me and Boba to go find out what was wrong. So we went down the elevator and we met this Vortigon wearing a lab coat. It told us to go a bit further to see what was going on. And from my vast and great experience, I would say that what was wrong is that the base was under attack by the Combine. But that is just a qualified guess. So to get rid of this problem, we decided to take out all of the Combine in the building. And after eliminating all of them, the lab coat wearing Vortigon came to us again. It told us to follow, so we did. It showed us to a room where Eli and Kleiner were watching Mossman's message that we had watched back when we were in the Citadel. But this one was a bit different, since it was showing a large boat frozen in ice called the Borealis. So what is so special about this boat is that it has the ability to teleport anywhere. It was built by the Aperture Science team a long time ago, and it was rumored to have disappeared. The Combine wanted it because it would help them in some way. It wasn't actually super interesting, so me and Boba found this suit metal plate from the first game, and that was super interesting. Then Kleiner left and Alex told Eli to prepare for unforeseen consequences, which is what the mysterious man had told her to do. She then left and Eli told us that he had also seen the mysterious man, and the mysterious man had told him the exact same thing. So Eli realized that the mysterious man was putting words in Alex's mouth. After that interesting talk, Magnuson showed us some bombs that he had created that were supposed to be used against the Striders. Apparently many Striders came to this place, so it was good to be prepared. So we tried it once. And then very conveniently, the Striders attacked the base, so we drove out to where he told us and started fighting the Striders and the Hunters that were waiting for us. There were a few bomb creating things placed around, so we didn't have to go back to the base every time we needed a new bomb. But the Striders weren't always close to the bombs, so sometimes we had to use different measures to try and kill them and the Hunters. It was some intense fighting, but we were able to kill all of them and the people back at the base were cheering for us. So now that the Striders were gone, we were told to go to this lookout room with massive windows because they were going to launch the rocket. Finally, the gnomes were going to space! Or not, because now we heard that they were going to use the rocket to blow up the portal? They told us to click the button to launch the rocket, but then the gnomes would die. The rocket went up very fast, and then Eli told us that he thinks that the warning that the mysterious man had given us had something to do with the Borealis. He also told us that if we found it, we had to destroy it. But we didn't have time to think about that, because we had a rocket to watch. So if this works, all that we have gone through will have been worth it. All that has happened has led up to this. We couldn't see the rocket at all, but the portal started getting smaller and then it blew. And as the light settled, there was no portal to be seen. We had done it. We had saved the human race. We celebrated for a whole 3 seconds and then we went inside this big building where we would start our journey to the Borealis. We walked inside it and something just felt off. I couldn't really tell what, but as soon as we got down with the elevator, a big flash happened and in came advisors. They pushed us against the wall, but Eli went up to them and started hitting one of them. It pressed him against the floor and the other one came up and picked him up. Alex was screaming in panic. Then the advisor did it. It killed Eli. The other one grabbed Alex, but just before killing her, Dog came and started hitting it furiously. Both of them left, but the damage had already been done. Eli was no longer with us. And that was it.
Jag hade med soten nej.
Nej, han hade mer sot än mig. Vågar du? Visste väl att det var allt jag ville ha.
Tyvärr, jag hade mer än dig.
Ja, men alltså, ska vi köra 3?
Ja, vi kör 3 igen, så kan vi få lite mer footage.